We've been together since we were 14, got married at 23 and have been married for 5 years. We celebrated our 5th wedding anniversary in June. Recently we'd been discussing kids and a couple nights back we were drinking a bit and the topic ended up on pregnancy scares. We had a couple of those back in college and then my wife drunkenly mentioned the one in 2017. Which sobered me up real fast since the last time we had one was 2012 when we were both 21. I was like, what do you mean 2017? And she got this weird expression on her face before trying to play it off like it was a drunken slip of the tongue, but I've been with her since we were 14. I know when something's up with her and I said, no, you're lying. Tell me WTF do you mean about a scare in 2017? She tried playing it off again and leaving, and at this point my mind was running away from me, so I grabbed her hand and said, tell me what the hell you're talking about. Then she just breaks down and starts crying as if her parents just died. She told me in 2017 when she took a holiday with her 2 friends, they met some guys and partied with them a few days before the trip ended. It was 10 days long and this would have been day 6. They went to the guy's place to continue hanging out and her friends had time with a couple of them. She said she stayed drinking Abbott with another and had been firm about being married. However, the dude was handsome and charming and persuaded her to have some fun. He pointed out she was thousands of miles away from her husband. He'd, me, never know, and this might be her chance to have time with someone else other than the one guy she'd only ever slept with. She said she resisted at first but at some point didn't think of me or us and just went with it. She slept with him twice that night, then a few more times over the remaining days of the trip. Her friends didn't ask or say anything and she said she felt guilty but did it anyway. On the last day of the trip her friends and her were back at the hotel when one of them said, don't worry, we won't say anything, what happens here stays here. And she just broke down crying over there. According to her, she felt like it was a full-on mental breakdown. They comforted her and said they'd support her, but she made her decision to have time with the guy multiple times. She said she felt like such a piece of shit, and before she came home she called me and said she'd get a ride to her mother's where she'd be for a few weeks. She got tested during this time period and debated over what to do. She wanted to tell me but didn't want to lose me, and so resolved to put it in the past and just be a better, faithful wife from then on. Since then she hung out with those women a lot less, and I'll admit she seemed to try very hard to be a good wife and lover after she came home. I thought she just missed me a lot, but now I know she was overcompensating. Which lead to the other night. I feel like my mind is just in a daze. I paced around the parking lot for like an hour at work, and my boss even asked if everything was okay and told me to head home if I wanted. She's been trying to speak to me, crying a lot. I hate that she's acting as if she's the one hurt by my ignoring her right now. She's been promising she'll always be a great wife, but the fact is that she ducked another man multiple times, and if not for a stupid conversation coming up while drinking, I'd never know. Then there's the part of me wondering if she ever cheated before, if there were ever other scares with guys. What did she really do all the time she hung out with friends? Suddenly I'm questioning most of 14 years together. I'm a loss as to what I should do here. I still madly love her, but suddenly the sight of her makes me want to punch something or just grab her and scream in her face till my voice stops working. I hate that I feel like this. TL, doctor found out while drinking that my wife had an affair while on vacation 2 years ago. Comment 1. Don't rug sweep this as easy and as tempting as this may be. This can and will eat away at you and undermine your entire marriage. Get yourselves into marriage counseling now. Make sure it's a good one you both like and can open up to. You both need to get individual counseling to work your way through this. I'm sure your marriage can survive this, but it must be done properly. Comment 2. So most of the commenters are disgusted and quick to point out the once a cheater always a cheater and so on. Well, let me give a different take based on my personal experience, which is of some similar background. I met my wife when in middle school. We dated all through high school and were mostly just with each other. Then I got curious and broke up with her to explore. Years later we got back together after having dated around and her having a serious committed relationship too. My point is that if you only ever knew each other, it is not at all unfathomable that she was curious and made a poor decision to give in to curiosity. If you love her and she's been good to you since, you owe it to both of yourselves to sit down and be honest. Maybe it's not quite as bad as it seems. As a newly 40-year-old guy, I can tell you sometimes time is just time. Physical gratification doesn't always require or lead to emotional connection, and I bet your wife may have realized that good/great time isn't more important than her lifelong love. Comment 3. You say your wife went to her mother's after returning from that fateful vacation with those 2 friends. Has she ever gone away any other times with those same friends? Even just for a night or a weekend? Has she ever gone to her mother's, or another intermediate destination, instead of coming directly home after being away. It sounds like her mother may have known what was up. Any possible relationship issues between you and your mother-in-law? You also say that since then she hung out with those women a lot less. Has she cut them off completely though? Does she still sometimes go places with them? It is certainly possible that this trip was the only occasion on which she cheated on you, though she evidently did so quite enthusiastically and without inhibition once she got started. She slept with him twice that night, then a few more times over the remaining days of the trip. This was an affair, not a one-night stand, and it was carried out very coolly and deliberately. I would also find myself wondering at your wife's claim to have felt guilty afterwards, given her repeated decision to have time with the other man. This was definitely not just an impulse. Again, her asserted feeling of guilt is possible, but her actions certainly don't sound anything at all like some sort of a mental breakdown. To me though, one of the biggest things is that, if what we generally see published is true, the great majority of affairs, like 90%, are never discovered unless the cheater decides to fess up. Therefore, the probability that a discovered affair such as your wife's is truly the first or only transgression by the cheating partner is actually very low. That said, you know your wife better than myself or anyone else on this thread, even if not as well as you thought you did. I would be quite interested in seeing the answers to those questions I suggested in my first paragraph. They might help give you some context in which to evaluate your wife's claims that this identified affair is her only infidelity. Good luck. Comment 4. I'm really sorry for what you have to go through. I think almost everything has been said in this section already. Let me tell you this. I've been cheated on and I've cheated myself. I know how hard it is and how much damage it does. I know it's easy to ride the hate train, but I also know that hate doesn't help the healing. There is one thing you should consider. When your wife told you the truth, she told you probably everything. She could have easily tuned it down drastically and sell it like a one-time drunken slip. Yet she decided to tell you about the other days as well. Most people in this thread will disagree, but I think that shows that she wanted to come clean to you. That whatever comes now is not based on another lie. My friend, please get professional help. It helped us a lot. Comment 5. Possible suggestion. If I were you, there would be no way I could ever trust her again, but that's me. I had a friend who was cheated on and he came up with an interesting idea as he didn't want to throw away the entire relationship for one drunken night. He told her that he was demoting her from wife to girlfriend. He said that he was filing for divorce, and if she wanted to try and save the relationship she would agree to all parts of this. If she didn't agree, he would go with regular divorce. His proposed divorce 1. Divorce would go through 2. No alimony 3. All assets would be split 50-54, she would change her name back to her maiden name after divorce is finalized. 5. They would continue to live in the same house and split all expenses 50-56. Both would put same amount into a joint checking account every payday for kids' expenses. 7. They would see if they could stay together and possibly become a couple again. If so, she might get promoted back to wife. They've been divorced for about 2 years. They are in the same bedroom. She has proposed to him multiple times, but he has said no each time. He has confided in me that he doubts he will ever marry her again because he doesn't feel like he could ever trust her that much. Something to think about. Thanks you for watching Everyday New Movies. See you soon.